Hello friends, this is Otz, and today we're going to be doing a post-commentary / analysis of a Legion game that I played in the tournament yesterday. There's a few things you need to know. The very first one, this was a tournament hosted by my good friend Roderick Rudiger. He's a Spanish streamer, he's a Survivor main, extremely entertaining and educational. I recommend you check him out if you speak Spanish at all. This tournament, I must say, is a point-based tournament. And this is a big deal. This is not a escape tournament where you get points for escaping or for killing survivors. It is a tournament where teams are encouraged to get as many points as possible. There are also a few other rules that I'll go over very quickly, and hopefully when you read these rules, you'll understand why I picked Legion over any other killer. Some of the killers, such as Hag or Plague, were banned. Some of the reasoning I will not, get into a lot of detail or argue with. But basically, the basic rules are that the more points that you get, the better. Obviously, if you end up killing survivors, that robs them of a lot of points, because every escape is 5,000 plus for survivors. So killing them is obviously still your goal. You just want to avoid giving them too many points. And, for survivors, they'll probably want to do totems. They'll probably want to get into chases that are unnecessary so that they can farm bonus points. And you as a killer, you'll probably try to avoid being stunned. You'll try to avoid giving them flashlight saves and all of those things that would normally give a lot of BP to the other side. So with that in mind, what are the extra rules? For killers. Killers are not allowed to hardcore tunnel, hardcore camp, or even do massive slugs at the beginning. Later on, when there's fewer survivors left and generators left, the rules are a bit more lax. Obviously, if the gates are open, then you can do whatever. But you're not supposed to be a complete asshole and just face camp someone in the first minute of the game. That's for killers. For survivors, the rules are a bit more complex. The biggest one is that they cannot repair generators as long as they're injured. Until there's at least 2 generators left. When there's 2 generators left, then anything goes. But until 2 gens are left, for the first 3 gens repaired, they cannot work on a gen if they are injured. And this is a pretty big deal. And it's one of the strengths of Legion in this particular rule set. Obviously, this rule is in place to avoid gen rushing to a degree. But since Legion can get everybody injured quite easily, it is a very powerful tool to get everybody injured, make sure that the first gens don't go too quickly, and in that little time get rid of some pallets, maybe get a down or 2, and establish a good early game. So that'll be the main reason why I picked Legion. I also knew which map I was going, so I was very confident in the build that I was bringing. And this is the build that I think is almost not arguably the best thing you can bring on Legion. It consists of Pop Goes the Weasel, also Search. These 2 perks, even though they're bugged together, they complement each other very well. You down a survivor, you search nearby gens, maybe gens that are on buildings or platforms that are not easily accessible, and then you go to the other side. You pick them up, you see which gens are not blocked, and you go to those gens far away, and you use Pop Goes the Weasel, and you try to hold the game. These are the 3 perks that really have this really good synergy with Legion's power. If people stay injured, Search becomes more of a problem because you'll be hitting them near generators and they'll have a hard time keeping up. Remember, if you keep hitting multiple of them, they will have to mend, and all that little time really adds up. And if they do heal, well, you will have to hit them again, but they'll waste a lot of time healing, and that also buys you a lot of time. So that's, either way, it's kind of good for you. The final perk in this build is a bit of a wild card. My biggest fear going into this tournament is that I would get everybody injured, or worst yet, I would get 2 people injured tops because they would play really well, and then I would go on a first chase that would take too long. Maybe someone would drop every single pallet played super safe. So because I was afraid of that, of those very long chases, I knew that with my power, with the killer instinct, I could find pretty much every survivor I wanted at the start. So I brought Play With Your Food, so that when I found the obsession, I would be able to use the obsession to gain stacks of Play With Your Food and move faster. And with a stack or 2, survivors usually make a mistake very early, and if they're already injured, that means they go down. So this made me basically have a person that no matter what, I would be able to either down them quickly or, get the stack off of them, move quicker, and then down someone else quickly. So that was the reason behind play with your food. It was to cover one of my weaknesses as an M1 killer that once he's got people injured, can't really do anything special. So that was my strategy going into it. Their strategy going into it was an interesting idea. They could only bring one item, and the item they decided to bring was a green map, which is what they were allowed, with a red twine. And this is very, very interesting. They knew they were going to go against me. They knew I had a fame as a trapper main, and thus they brought a map that can show you the R's of bear traps. It was kind of intelligent on their part, but it was a big gamble. I think bringing a medkit or a flashlight to get bonus points might have been a better idea. But still, it was a good idea, because even if I didn't play Trapper, they could still use the red twine to find totems, and finding totems with inner strength is a good idea, which they obviously run together with this. So that's pretty much for the early strategy. They did not know I was going to play Legion, so we'll start with the game, and I'll show you kind of what it looked like. I'm doing one last check to see the names and the characters, and make sure I know who my obsession is right away. And right at this moment, I know that my obsession is the Kate, so I'll keep an eye out for her. I'm going to try to hide myself as much as I can and approach the place where I think they spawn. I don't want them to know I'm Legion. I'm even playing the darkest Legion outfit I can, so that they don't see me until the last second. My idea is for them to go, oh damn, it's Legion, and get as many early hits as possible. And judging right now, I can tell that this is a really, really good start for me. We have one person to my left, the Ace, and one person to my right, who's going to be either the Obsession, or the Kate, or the David. In this situation, I already have to make a good decision, and I think I made the right call. The Ace is within stabbing distance, and so is the David, which is going to be the one in the corner. But if I go for the David, the Ace gets away. If I go for the Ace, the David is still to my right, he's still cornered, and with the duration add-ons that I'm bringing, I will have time to get him. So I'll go for the Ace. He gives me an easy hit. Avoid the stun. Make sure I stay back. And now, immediately now, we're going for David. And here, David already commits the worst mistake you could commit against a Legion, in my opinion. I just hit his teammate, meaning that I just fully recharged my power, as you can tell. And I can afford to respect this pallet and just stare at him for a good 10 seconds. And then make my mind up. In this situation, there are two things he can realistically do. One, accept that he's going to get hit, start running away, and take the hit, and don't waste the pallet. That would be probably the better idea. At this stage, they've already messed up. 3 of them are going to get injured, maybe 4, if the 4th one is somehow close by. The second idea that he could do is to force a stun. He could just wait at the pallet, literally just wait on it. Wait, and when I hit him, then immediately stun me. That would mean that he gets a lot of points from the stunning. I lose my power, obviously, but he wastes the pallet. Either way would have been good. What he did do is try to predict when I'm going to hit him and pre-drop the pallet, and this is the mistake. Watch it happen. Obviously, what I'm going to do right after that is immediately hit him. Respect the pallet, go over, hit him. Now, I see a 4th heartbeat, and we can tell that Claudette hasn't had time to mend. And in fact, if you look at the HUD, she is still in deep wound. Her name is Taxi83. So she is 100% not the same Claudette that we stabbed earlier. That person right there is the Obsession. However, I can tell already that because she's on the 2nd floor of that building, I am not going to make it there in time. By the time I go there, she can run around a bit, I'll lose my power. Even with duration add-ons, she's going to have too much of a warning. But the David behind me doesn't know that. He doesn't know that I can't get there. So what I do right now is keep going, do a quick check, see that the David is in the open. This is where he should have suspected something, and pretend to go away. I waited a couple seconds to wait out the fatigue, and I go back to him. At this moment, I need to watch out for Dead Heart. When I see that he vaults and doesn't have it, we make sure we get a hit. So we have an early down, which is insanely good at this stage. And we also got rid of a pallet that could have been a hindrance earlier. We also hit the generator on that 2nd floor with Surge, which is going to give us a bit of time. I completely ignore the Ace. I don't want to give it extra chase points. I see that Thrilling Tremors has sealed every other generator except for this one. I understand that I'm not going to get the early hit on that person, but I go for pop, goes the weasel anyway. This is not a generator that I think they should have done first, by the way. That generator is still good. I do this to save a bit of time around the corner. And what do you know? It's the obsession. I hit her. I gain my stack of play with your food. Everybody else is injured. Nobody can repair generators right now. So I'm going to cancel my power right about now. This thing I did here, going one way and then the other, is just to buy me a tiny little bit of time in the 4 seconds that it's going to take for me to come out of my frenzy. This is usually a very, very good loop for survivors, but this Claudette, I bet, doesn't realize that I have play with your food. She is forced to use her dead heart. I do not take the stun or hit prematurely, so that I don't lose a stack of play with your food. And with that 5% extra speed, she goes down, and another pilot is wasted. That will be a second pop. No thrilling tremors this time, because it's still on cooldown, but that's fine. And now we'll just have to go around and find where that pop can be landed. Search did not trigger, and it makes sense because they literally cannot do gens, so none of the gens nearby have been touched since. A couple people healed up, which is very good. And now we just do a bit of a patrol. The one for an early rescue, which is completely fine. I am not allowed to tunnel off hook. However, I can go for a hit here and there. Maybe using my power here might have been a mistake, but one of my priorities was to check if this girl had borrowed time. I couldn't quite do it though, because the Claudette got away. So I'm gonna get a hit, get some points, get my play with your food, and now try to track her. I needed to look away so that I would get my play with your food faster. And my idea is to down this girl also, or make her drop a really good pallet with the speed from play with your food. And that's exactly what's going to happen, by the way. Here, I don't think I could have gotten for the hit. I think I would have been stunned. So I played safe. I break a really, really strong pallet, and with the extra speed, she should go down by all means. Ideally, I would have gone for the grab, and that's why you see me wait. We've already seen that she's got sprint burst before, but if she did go for the grab, I would have kept the play with your food stack, which would have been very, very nice. Thrilling Tremors just blocked. They did finish a gen right after they all healed up, which is very good for them, but now every other gen is blocked, which gives me a little bit of stall, a little bit of time. Scratch marks on that tree, and I just track them to the left and assume that someone is here. Now, it is possible that this person was hiding elsewhere. I did not find them. That's totally fine. I assume they're going to have to go for the rescue eventually. So I look for more line of sight. And even though I could proxy camp a little bit, I still want to use that pop somewhere else. More scratch marks by that tree. I hear the gens being worked up there. I think working on that generator is a mistake this early. You will see later why I think so, but this generator is pretty safe. At this point, I need to make a decision. I could pop that gen, which I don't care about so much. Or I could potentially get a double hit on these people. If there was only one person, I probably would have gone for the pop. Because if they're committing to this gen, well, screw it. I will just delay it regardless, right? Better doing that than wasting it. And plus, I can catch up to survivors anyway. But if I see 2 people, screw that pop. I don't care about that gen. Let's go and hit them. They're still at 4 generators and cannot repair. Make sure I don't mess this one up. Get 1 hit, completely refill my power. And get the other hit. Now, technically, I'm not tunneling this Claudette, so she is a prime target. And what's going to happen here is quite interesting, in fact. Right about here, I'm already thinking to myself that I need to do some kind of mind game. She's got a good window, a couple good pallets that are quite safe, and the only thing I can do here to get her is to do some kind of mind game. Unfortunately, it did not pay off for me. And here I go again. You can see the A's in the background. And now I get bloodlust, and at this point she has to give me something. If we watch it from the host's perspective, who was watching from the survivor spectating mode, we can see exactly what I did there failed. Seeing this feedback, you know, I can tell clearly that her camera was still very much on me. She could still see me. So that little back and forth there did not work at all. So I should probably change the timing a bit, or even consider just straight up just chasing them and getting the pallet out of the way. Sometimes, you know, some places are just unmind gameable. She gives me the pallet, which is a precious resource. This is not one of those maps that has so many pallets that you can just drop them willy-nilly. They actually have to take care of them quite a bit. And now she's in trouble. We do give up a gen for, you know, for tunneling her. It is a shame I never broke that pallet back then. I'm trying to see if she will make a mistake. But it seems like she runs away. That was a really good idea by her. And doing this out of the costed me 1 gen. It is something I have to do, however, because I need to get someone out of the game somewhat early. Luckily, her timing there is not on point. She did not play that LT wall maybe to the biggest potential. And down in here, right here, hits the gen up top again, which gets blocked. Lets me know no one's on it, which is great. Because that gen will begin to regress once it's not blocked anymore. Right around this point, I'm already thinking of killing the Claudette early. And as a plan B, I'm also thinking of securing a 3 gen. I use my power here. Damage the generator. And here's a little mistake by me. It would have been like the ace. He was not smart. He did not run to a very safe area. He stayed in this relatively unsafe area right in front of me. He was kind of cornered, kind of zoned out. It would have been a better idea to end my power. Maybe go back and forth a bit to keep him there. Then kick the gen, then go back to it and get my power back. Instead, I was very, very hungry for the pop. I did not want to lose the gen. So I popped it while in frenzy. And then tried to see if I could get a cheeky hit with a duration, but it wasn't enough at all. I cancel it here, you know, recognizing that maybe I will need to wait the full, you know, 20 seconds to get my power. So, yep, now we're just brute forcing this pallet, respecting it a lot so that I don't get stunned and give them points. And he messes up by getting stuck, so he gets a hit. And here, I think he panics. Sometimes having Dead Heart makes survivors make bad decisions. Another pickup without Thrilling Tremors. I will not see where the gens are being worked on, but I can make a guess. Because they're really, really hungry for that second floor generator. Very good play by them here, by the way. The Kate did a really, really sneaky play and actually hit around this debris, this little structure. I did not see her, so very, very good job on her. Because that allowed her to close in for the rescue in a few seconds later. But yeah, as I said, that ace, you know, he had 1 pallet and then he had an LT. Well, he did not have the best opportunity there. I'm going here. I'm already hearing steps up above. My teammate is urging me to get the Claudette killed. And right now, I'm saying yes to the camera, just in case he's watching. I see the Claudette. Don't think I didn't. I hit her and lose some of my power. That's totally fine. And remember, she's got absolutely nothing here. She did a really, really good job here, tricking me into going into a structure with absolutely no safety at all, and then getting to the window. So massive props to the Claudette. She played that really, really well. And I have a feeling I should have done that better. I should have just, you know, protected that window. When you see a survivor, sometimes you need to change from clockwise to counterclockwise. Sometimes you need to keep your back to a certain safe area and make sure that you zone them into the corner of the map or into an unsafe area that you want them to go into, where you know you'll catch them very quickly. So very, very good job. This play here was excellent. However, there's 1 less pallet here now, so she'll have to be careful. I checked for the window, but she's out of the out. And here I try to mind game it a bit, but she just held W. And it took me a long time to realize this, by the way. It took me too long of a long time to realize this. Very good job on her. She's going away, but unfortunately they've been dropping pallets left and right a bit. And here's just a straight up down. Unfortunately for us, the Claudette is out of the game. Now, because she bought herself so much time with a very good play, I understand that going to this chase, I pretty much understood that by doing this, I was going to lose my 3 gen. My 3 gen is right behind me. And there were 3 generators that were really close to each other, and they were all on like the ground. And I'm going to show you right now. It's that one, the one that's blocked in front of us, the one on the right that is also blocked, and the one on the left, right there, that is not blocked. That gen is being worked on right now. And after that gen goes, obviously they're going to be able to repair it while injured, and the game's going to be a lot harder. They're going to have a bit more freedom. But it is a worthy sacrifice, because I've gotten a person out of the game, which will not be able to get any more points from now, and will obviously not get any points from surviving. And also because I have Search, I can hit the generator on the 2nd floor, I can keep blocking it, I can keep popping it, and we also have another gen in the corner to my right. So even though our 3 gen is not the best, for the price of killing 1 person, it is 100% worth it. Still, though, I don't give up. In the off chance that they do not finish it, I was heading there with Pop, but they did finish it. Every other gen is blocked with Thrill and Tremors, so I can't do anything. Here's the play with your foot on Kate. I waited out, used my power. At that distance, Sprint Burst will not save you. And I want the speed boost from her to go find someone else, and that's what I'm doing. This might be part of my new 3 gen, so this time I need to pop it. Cancel my power, see who it is. I couldn't quite tell. And pop it. That gen in the corner might have been a better priority, but they did not focus on it for some reason. Scratch marks over here. I'm imagining this is the person that ran away. There's no reason for them to hide over here, but if they hid elsewhere, I could not find them. I'm now just going to go around until I find someone. And here we go. Ace is a little bit in the open, perhaps due to bad communication or him not knowing exactly where I was. And the play that I do here, I think, is quite smart. He will go through that window, and knowing that, I'm going to go to the right so that I chase them around this tile in a counterclockwise motion, which is most likely what you want to do. You don't want to. You don't want to go to the left. Because that's what allows them to keep running you around this tile. These are the LT walls. So I'm going to go to the right. I'm going to hide my red light. He obviously goes there. And here's a very critical moment. Right here, he can see me. Right here, at the very edge, he can still see me even though I don't see him anymore. What I do right here is something that I practice a bit. Is turn my camera very, very sharply away. And that's the last thing he sees as he goes around the corner. But I'm actually not turning away. I moonwalk, turn around, and there he is. It happens really, really quickly, but this is how it looks like from their perspective in an actual slow-mo, so that you can catch all the details. And that's another early down for Ace, which is really good for me. It's letting me know where the team is working on gens. And I'm going back with a pop. Very surprised to know that they're not working on multiple generators, which I think would have been the smarter idea right now. But that's totally fine. I suspected that the David was around here because I didn't hear him run. I did not care. I said yes with the camera, by the way, just in case it was there. Because I wanted to go back to the hook. Although in retrospect, maybe it would have been a better idea to check just in case. Because, in fact, he was hiding there, which is pretty funny. But back to these fellas. I'm going to go for this girl. I use my power very, very early because I know that I've got duration add-ons. These add-ons add 1 second and 1.5 seconds. I need to look away so the play with your foot comes quicker. And I'm very confident that with the play with your foot, I'm going to be able to just brute force this. She does not have Dead Heart. She has Sprint Burst, so I don't have to worry about it. And obviously going for the Ace might be tunneling, so I'm not going to go for the Ace. I'm going to hook her instead. And I believe this is her second hook now. No Thrill and Tremors, unfortunately. It might have been an idea to go and wait a second just to get the Thrill and Tremors effect, but it did not. It wasn't necessary at all. Luckily, we found this Ace very, very quickly. He did a very smart play. He did exactly what his teammate did earlier and got into this little corner, which is very smart. Thing that wasn't so smart, though, is that he did it very quickly. And I saw the faintest scratch marks on the ground. And remembering that he has Iron Will, of course, I'm going to check that corner. If he had done it a little bit better, props to him. He didn't, though. Very, 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 very experienced survivors will probably not make this kind of mistake. I'm going to leave it on the ground, though. And try to tell where the David is. Because if I do find the David and that man does not have Unbreakable, I will probably get him. I did see scratch marks. I expected him to run through me, but he was smarter and decided to just stealth it out, which is the right thing to do here, and to force me to pick up the Ace. That, however, is not a problem in the slightest, so I'm just going to pick him up and look around the area where I know the David is, and he's probably just going to run through me, which is exactly what he does. I could have downed him here, but I prefer to secure the hook, get my points, and go back to those two. My idea right now is to get a stack of play with your fruit from the Cade, and then go for the David. But I heard the David here. The Cade was a little bit too far, so I'm now going to use my power. Doing this is a little bit risky, to be completely fair, because I did get stunned, which is a lot of points for them. And now I risk not being able to find the David. But still, with a play of your foot, I am very confident that once I do find them, they will go down very, very quickly. And my poor teammate here is... You can't quite see it, but he's commenting that, you know, they're not doing so hot and that I should slug for the 4K. And that's my idea. Because I want to secure the 4K, I will 100% slug. But coming up to this hill, just so I can see people around, magic happens. Hatch is right here. And this hatch lets me know where to go to avoid the 4K. So my idea right now would be to hook the David, come back to the hatch. If the David kills himself, I will close the hatch. And because that girl is injured, she has basically no chance of opening the exit gates. This is a very small map. I've also been looking at the exit gates. One of them is to my right, and the other one I think is behind me. They're not that far apart, so I would 100% be able to catch them. Remember that in this tournament, they're not allowed to use keys or plunder keys or anything like that, so they should have no chance. So I look around. I don't spot her. That's totally fine. She's just hiding somewhere. I just don't know where. So I'm gonna go back to the David. I'm gonna pick him up. Avoid the unbreakable if possible, which they could easily have. Luckily, he wasn't bugged, so I could hear him. And I'm gonna keep him hooked very close to that hatch, so that there's no chance for them to go elsewhere. Now, technically, in a situation like this, I could just stay on this hill forever and force him to die and close the hatch. But I also kind of did want them to go for the rescue, because I knew I would get more sacrifice points if I got 2 extra hooks. And I was trying to go for the max points overall. So I am very kind, and I leave the hill, and I give them a chance to go for the rescue. And thank goodness, eventually, they do. I make sure to be out of sight, even though I'm literally still right here. And they find a sneaky way to get back to the hook. And there, it happens. Still, though, they do not have the manpower right now to finish 2 generators. I see that she goes to the left. I imagine she goes through the window. That's exactly what she does. The David has balanced landing. Spoilers. That's why he likes to come to this tower. I think that was an even better argument, that he should have saved it. He does not use it very well. Does not make a lot of distance. And now he's down. I don't want to pick him up. He could have decisive. So instead, I will pick up this girl. Put her right up here. Decisive, by the way, would give them a lot of points. And I'm starting to use my frenzy now, just because I have points from it. And I pick him up just now. On the hook here, I know that I can make it to the hatch and close it for an extra 250. So I wait for my power. I trigger it to go a little bit faster. And right on time. And I didn't get the max points on deviousness. But it was very, very close. And the total score was nearly 32,000, which is the max points you can get. And even though I gave them a fair amount of points, especially to the Obsession, who obviously I ignored a lot more, we did do quite well. And by all means, this was a good round for my team. And well, now that the match is over, I can definitely look back and reflect upon some of the mistakes that I made. I will definitely try to work on those. Luckily for me, the survivors also made tons of mistakes. You gotta understand that they probably were expecting a different killer, and the element of surprise was with me. The map was also very favorable to me. The coal tower is a very decent and good map for killer. The RNG we had in the map itself was also very, very favorable. They did not have any crazy structures they could have played better around. And luckily, this team, even though they did their best, I'm sure, and that they'll one day get there, they're not the absolute best team out there. And they don't have the amount of hours that some other teams do. Some other teams, they just easily have 6,000 or 7,000 hours apiece. And I've played against them, and it's very, very painful. And goodness me, I don't wish that upon anybody. But still, it was a very, very fun match. I hope you learned something about it. And if there's anything to take away from this, is that, hey, Legion's not as terrible as some people think. And even a brown and yellow add-on are very, very decent on him. Hopefully you'll give him a try. And hopefully you'll pick up something from this video. And you can tell me all about it. Thank you so much for watching.